only 3 ways to make money as a contractor, and after doing $10 million of concrete sales in my own business and helping over 30 other contractors scale to 7 figures plus in their business, I realized there's only 3 ways to make more money as a contractor, and I'm gonna start out with number 1, which is to sell more customers. Selling more customers is by far and away the most common way to make more money as a contractor, and honestly my least favorite way, but because it's the most common, I wanna go over it. And so it's pretty simple math, which is why most people think about it. So let's just say if you go through a year and you sell 50 customers and your average job size is $10,000, well, that means your revenue is gonna be $500,000, right? And so you think, well, shoot, if I sold 50 people and each one was 10,000, now I just wanna sell 100 people the 10,000 and I've doubled my business. So that is true, but in my opinion, there's way more efficient ways to make more money, and I think it's actually a mistake to think about the only way to make more money is just by adding more and more and more customers, because when you add more customers, well, then you have to service them too. And what comes along with more customers? Added expense. So let's just say if you're at a 20% profit margin with 50% or with 50 customers, now when you double to 100 customers, well, now your profit margin might shrink a little bit. And why is that? Well, you might need extra help. You might not be the only person that can service the 100 customers. So you might need a project manager, you might need an office manager, you might need other expenses you didn't have in the business before. So even though you're doing more revenue, you might actually not make that much more money. And that leads me to the second point, which is if you want to make more money, what you could also do is just make your customers worth more money. And what do I mean by making your customer worth more money? Let's just go back to the $10,000 job example. Okay, so if we do a $10,000 job and our typical $10,000 job, we only make 30% on our money, means that $10,000 turns into $3,000. Well, let's just say, what if we could sell that same job that we sold for $10,000 for $12,000? And let's just say that we kept expenses the same. Now I have hopefully the same amount of customers, and if I can sell them instead of for $10,000 at $12,000, and my expenses are the exact same now per customer, I went from making $3,000 per customer all the way up to $5,000 per customer, which means I had a 60% increase in my profit by only increasing my prices by 20%. And because there's an objection, and honestly it's a very valid objection, where you say, well, Tyler, if I raise my prices 20%, that means I'm gonna actually have less customers. But what I want to challenge you to do, instead of dismissing this right away, I don't want you to think, well, that's not possible because then I'm going to be too expensive and no one's going to hire me. What I want you to think of instead, because this will serve you so much better, and in the long run, you'll ask yourself, how can I sell my jobs for more money? Is it better marketing? As in, do you need to attract better customers who want a higher level service, who want more quality? Do you need to be better at sales? Are you slacking on your sales? Maybe you get back to people like 3 or 4 days after a quote, when in reality, you need to hop on that right away. Like, what are the things that you're actually doing where you can sell a job for more money, right? So don't immediately dismiss it. I mean, in a lot of my other videos, I talk about how to sell jobs for more money. And if all you do is raise your prices, you're probably right, that will probably fail. You just have to get better. Better marketing, better sales, better conversion rates, and have a better offer to give someone to convince them to spend more money with you than your competitors. Another way to make more money from your customers is to be more efficient. So this was something that I really worked on in this past year, which is if I want to make my customers worth more money, I could raise my prices, which takes my average price from like $10,000 to $12,000. But remember I said that's assuming we keep our expenses the same. Well, imagine how powerful it is if I can not only raise my prices, but now instead of that $10,000 job costing you, say, $7,000 to fulfill, imagine if you could get that down to $5,000 to fulfill that same $10,000 job. And you could do this in a couple different ways. I actually did this in my own business. Number 1 is I started tracking time. I used to think that if I track time for my crew, then they're gonna be like, oh, well, Tyler's a micromanager, he's a bad boss, he's terrible, right? He's like the worst thing ever. But what I realize is if you're not tracking it, then people just have a tendency to not work as hard as they possibly could. So what I did is I implemented time tracking. So that way my guys I knew exactly how long they were on each job. But I not only made this into a punishment, I actually introduced a reward system. I said, hey, if I bid a job to take, say, 2 days and you guys get it done in a day and a half, well, now I'm actually gonna bonus you a little bit of money for working harder. So I didn't just take and become controlling. I said, hey, I'm gonna track this so that I can give you a bonus if you work hard. So not only did they make more money, but I made my customers worth more money to me because we got jobs done faster, which means my expenses reduced and I could do more revenue in the same amount of time. And then lastly, if you want to increase your profit per customer, something else that you could do other than raising prices is you could introduce extra services. So if you've been following my channel, you've probably heard me talk about my lighting business. So one of the reasons that I wanted to do my lighting business is so that way I could offset my winter months with a different business who peaked during the winter and it fell off in the summer. So that was one way. But the other reason that I did that is because I realized that if I can convince someone and I can sell them on our concrete services and they used us and they like us, well, now how much easier is it going to be to sell them other things? And so if you want to make a customer worth more money, you raise prices, or just imagine if you introduce a different service, you could sell them during a slow time of year or really even in the same months, right? So that's all the ways you can increase your profit per customer, basically making them more valuable to you. The third way to make more money is if you could get your customers to buy more times. And what really made me think about this is I actually heard an Alex Hormozi video and I did a little bit more research. And I bet you couldn't guess what the average customer to Starbucks is worth. And they don't do it because they raise their prices. They don't do it because they reduce efficiencies or they increase efficiencies. They probably did that stuff. But the main thing that Starbucks does that is so amazing about their business model is if they sell you as a customer, they get you to come back so many times that on average, you will spend $15,000 at Starbucks over the lifespan of you as a customer, which is absolutely insane. Because picture, they're doing this like $5 at a time. So if you go to Starbucks, say twice a week, and each time you're spending about $12.50 because it's you and your significant other, that's $25 a week. And over the course of a year, that's about $1,000, a little bit more. So over 15 years, you're gonna spend 15 grand with them, which is insane. So imagine Starbucks. And if I was the owner of Starbucks and I could spend, say, $800 of marketing to get a $5 coffee customer because I knew they were going to spend $15,000, that is pretty insane. But what you want to do is you want to take that same philosophy and see what we can learn about it to apply in our own business. And so one of the ways that we can get people to buy more is simply just by being a better company. And I know that sounds really simple, but what does it actually mean to be a better company? Well, how about let's just do higher quality work than other people. Let's have a higher quality service. Let's get back to people faster. Let's communicate better. Let's make their experience better. Even if people are getting the same product from me versus my competitors, if I'm communicating better, if I fill them in, if they always know what's going on, and if we cleaned up really well, we did what we said we were going to do, we showed up on time, we fulfilled all of our promises, well, who do you think is going to want to not only refer more work, but also come back to me in the future? It's going to be the company that serviced the customer better. And this is the real hack. So a lot of people think, well, Tyler, I can't really do that. And so one of the other reasons that you want to raise your prices is so you could also raise your level of quality and raise your level of service. So the funny thing, and what I actually realized way back when I was just starting my concrete company, is I was charging relatively lower prices. And when I say low, I was not the cheapest guy in the market. I was competitive and maybe slightly above my competition. But because of that, I could never afford things like office managers and project managers, and I couldn't afford a better warranty, and I couldn't go above and above and above beyond to make my customer happy, because at the end of the day, I didn't have a massive margin. And so one of the things by increasing your pricing, you could actually increase your quality and your service. And the funniest part is even if you're giving your customer a good quality product and a good quality service for a reasonable price, they're actually more likely to recommend you if they paid more, but you gave them an excellent quality and an excellent service. And people are picky. They don't really remember how much they spent, but they will remember how much you made them feel or like how good you made them feel. And with that too, how many contractors, they're going to sell a job and then they're going to basically put a bow on their product, they're going to collect their money, and then that customer is never going to hear from them again. They never email their customer later, they never call their customer later, they never text them. And so you want to know the quickest way to lose a customer? Just don't talk to them, just ignore them, and they will not come back to you. So one of the things that I do in my business is implement email marketing strategies, text message marketing strategies. And honestly, even in the slow winter months, we just call and check in on our customers to see how they're doing. And in the long run, if I could make my average customer buy from me, say 1.2 times and get that up to 1.6 times, well, now that's about 40% more revenue just from one sale because I went above and beyond in servicing my customer. So those are the 3 ways to make more money as a contractor. Just get more customers, make them worth more money to you, and get them to buy more times. If you like this video on how to make more money as a contractor, I really think that you're gonna like this video right here, which is how to stand apart from your competition so you can sell jobs for more money. So make sure you click on this video and I'll see you there.